I now call upon the President to respond to question number 1 that was asked by the Honorable Moimang. Honorable President, welcome to the podium. Honorable delegates, the President will be responding to the question by Honorable Moimang, and the question was whether the government has assessed the impact of inadequate spending by provinces and municipalities on the commitments to deliver quality and essential services to communities, particularly crucial infrastructure such as housing, schools, roads. If not, why not? If so, whether the government has been engaging provinces and municipalities that continue to underspend and fail to adequately utilize their allocated service delivery budgets to ensure they develop the necessary capacity, acquire the requisite skills, and establish credible financial management systems in the 7th administration. If not, why not? If so, what are the relevant details? Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair of the House, National Council of Provinces, honorable delegates and members, and honorable guests. One of the ladies up there is also my guest. You should have mentioned that. And I love Orlando Pirates, but I support another club. Honorable Chairperson, Deputy Chairperson, government regularly assesses the trends in underspending by our provinces and municipalities and the impact this has on their ability to be able to deliver quality services to our communities. The issue of underspending is quite an important issue, particularly when it comes to spending on infrastructure allocations, such as housing, education, water, and roads. This is of great concern. I actually often characterize it as treason against the people of South Africa when monies that have been allocated are not spent and returned back to Treasury. Inadequate or slow capital expenditure by municipalities and provinces has in many ways hampered the delivery of the services that are due to our people. This results in problems like delays in housing delivery, stalled infrastructure projects such as schools, water, as well as sanitation and waste management infrastructure projects. It also erodes public trust in the state's ability to improve the livelihood of our citizens and exacerbates service delivery protests. The inability of many municipalities to spend their capital budget is often the result of poor management, poor planning, and weak implementation capacity, and inadequate financial and supply chain management. National government itself continues to engage directly with provinces and our municipalities to demonstrate persistent underspending that it is not acceptable. Key interventions that we often embark upon include budget monitoring forums that are coordinated by the National Treasury to track in-year spending and detect low expenditure patterns at an early stage through Section 154, supporting interventions that the Department of Cooperative Governance is able to embark upon, which enables it to work closely with municipalities, is able to strengthen institutional as well as financial capacity in our municipalities. Capacity building programs are organized through the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agent to address skills shortages, especially the planning and engineering, as well as project management part of it. Cabinet has also appointed an interministerial committee on municipal turnaround, which is hard at work to support distressed municipalities around our country. One of the strategic priorities of this administration is to build capable and a developmental state. Among other things, this in the end involves strengthening intergovernmental coordination and accountability and introducing what we would call an early warning system and the ability of Operation Vulindlela in implementing the reforms that we are embarking upon is to enable it to strengthen local government. Now, dedicated working groups have been established, particularly at eThekwini, as well as Johannesburg. These working groups are supporting both metros to address challenges with a number of areas of their responsibilities, particularly in water and electricity infrastructure. Finally, the Metro Trading Services Reform Program has been initiated by National Treasury to support the implementation of institutional and financing reforms to increase investment in infrastructure. And this is an innovative initiative that is going to see great changes being introduced. These measures will help to address the root causes of underspending and ensure that infrastructure is maintained and expanded to improve service delivery. This is something that the seventh administration is focusing on very, very strongly, and we are hoping that as time goes on, we will be able to see really good results as we reform and restructure our municipalities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. Before we move on to the first follow-up question, I would also like to recognize the presence of the Honorable S.K. Mashilo, who is the acting Premier of Mpumalanga Province. We welcome you to the House. The first follow-up question will come from the Honorable Moimang.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Greetings to yourself and also the President and honorable members. Thank you, Honorable President, for indeed communicating to our public that there is a commitment on the part of government to infuse a great sense of urgency and determination to ensure that indeed provinces and municipalities develop the institutional capacity to adequately utilize the funds allocated to them and fulfill the overarching aim of improving the lives of our communities by providing access to quality services. Now, my question, Honorable President, is whether the government has put in place mechanism to ensure consequence management for failure to spend allocated resources to address service delivery, particularly those concerning the provision of critical services like health care, infrastructure development such as houses and roads. Thank you, Honorable President. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Moimang. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. One of the issues that the Auditor General has highlighted very strongly is the issue of lack of consequence management. When either officials, including politicians, and structures of government are unable to meet their obligations. She's absolutely right when it comes to that, and it is a matter that we are addressing, particularly so as we now move towards professionalizing the public service. Because in the end, it is in part the public service that executes government programs, that executes our plans, but that does not absolve elected officials or elected representatives. So all of us need to have a sense that there should be consequence management if we don't do our work. And there should be follow through if we are not performing at the level that our citizens expect us to perform. It is a matter that we are addressing in great detail as we professionalize the public service and as we insist that even elected representatives should be accountable, should be responsible for the performance of the duties that they are expected to execute. So it is a matter that is receiving close attention in the 7th administration, and we are going to move ahead with precisely that. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We now move to the next follow-up question, and that's from the Honorable Dr. Sriyokoko.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Meneer President, in light of the fact that billions of rands are owned by provincial departments to municipalities, as confirmed in a recent response by the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, this mounting intergovernmental debt severely undermines service delivery at local level. It cripples municipal budgets, contributes to the underspending of infrastructure such as housing, schools, and roads, and exacerbates the systematic collapse in basic service provision. Now, President, given that this failure directly contradicts the objectives of coherent and accountable government, should the Minister, Glabisa, not urgently consider invoking a Section 101A of the Constitution to issue directives to defaulting provinces, as my own, as a form of consequence management? And this would then ensure that the persistent non-payment is directly addressed and all spheres of government uphold their obligation to support effective service delivery under the 7th administration. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Member, embedded in your question is the answer. It is the answer because it is one of those measures that we need to employ as set out in our Constitution to enhance accountability, to enhance a sense of responsibility by all members, whether elected or appointed. And therefore, even structures of government that do not live up to cooperating well as envisaged in our Constitution with regard to intergovernmental cooperation or collaboration should be subjected to a measure of discipline, if you like, but also accountability. So yes, I would agree with you. It is one of the measures. There are a number of other measures that can be embarked upon, and some of those are also embedded in our Constitution. Section 154, as I referred to, enables us as national government to play a supportive role to assist local government, including all levels of government, to perform the duties that they are meant to perform. So I thank you for giving a very good answer in your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. Honorable members, Honorable President, also I'd like to welcome in the House the Honorable Mackenzie, the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, who came in very quietly and just seated himself there. Sorry, I didn't recognize you earlier, Honorable Minister, but thank you for joining us today. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable Makasini.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. The local government is instrumental in providing the communities with essential services. Inappropriate spending, underspending of the grant, therefore, has a great impact in the sphere of local government. And delayed complete infrastructure project at the aim of improving service delivery to the communities. such as access water, sanitation, housing, and public transport. After years of service delivery failure, it is also concerning to note that how the problem faced by various provinces, it also inadequate spending, underspending, but also on issue of corruption. A case in point is on Pukwane municipality in Northern Cape, where the officials have been arrested for money laundering, fraud, as well as a salt blight municipality, where there is a multi-rand saga in Kimball Mental Hospital. In light of this, what is the step that the president is to take to engage municipalities and such provinces pertaining the scourge of corruption that denies our people service delivery? And what concrete timelines and measurable outcomes has the president to address to and make sure this thing doesn't happen again? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Makasini. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. I should say that you may not have noticed Minister Mackenzie coming in and you think he came in quietly. He never moves quietly. And I did notice him right when I came in and I asked, "What are you doing here?" And he loudly said, "I'm a visitor." So he has come to visit. Honorable Chairperson, yes, I should say that the concerns that are voiced by Honorable Member Makasini are concerns that we are alive to. The issues of underspending and misspending, as well as corruption that continues to take place in a number of areas of our government. The case that she cites, we are aware of, but what we should also say that one of the ways of consequence management is precisely what she has cited, that there have been investigations, there have been arrests of those people who've been involved in corrupt activities. This is precisely what we want to see happening, that those who perpetrate acts of either misspending or mismanaging or even stealing money from our people, there should be follow-ups. There should be consequence management. That is the way in which consequences visit the acts, the wrong acts that people commit against our people. And therefore, it is a process that is now gathering momentum so that those who participate in acts like this should know that there's no place to hide, that their acts will be followed up by investigations, and if there is wrongdoing, where they have stolen or misspent money of our people, there will be consequences. Now, this is one of the consequence management processes that we are talking about, to clean up and to ensure that we strengthen and increase the capacity of the state, so that the state is able to deliver services to our people in a very honest and direct manner, so that we can improve the livelihoods of all our people. So we will continue with that whole process. And where there is wrongdoing, we want to see follow-ups and consequence management. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you, Chairperson. President, over and above the challenge of underspending, in the last financial year, the AG has found that 86% of municipalities had material compliance findings, which shows lack of adherence to basic principles and of legislation. My question to you today is, when are we going to hold municipal managers and mayors personally accountable by opening criminal cases against them for having funds in their coffers that they never use to assist our municipalities? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mokoena. Honorable President, your response.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Member Mokoena. Yes, it is a matter that we are paying attention to. As we talk about the professionalization of the public service, which should and which will cover positions of people like municipal managers, and will also include elected officials, such as those who are appointed to positions either of mayor or other key positions, that where they get involved in wrongdoing, and wrongdoing should span across a number of activities that do not advance the interests of our people, such as either corrupt activities, stealing money, or even mismanagement. That in itself should constitute as an affront to our people. And when it comes, for instance, to where we do not spend money which has been allocated, I have characterized that as treasonous against our people, because our people, as they elect us, they expect us to do the work that we've been delegated and elected and mandated to do. And when, without any cause or good reason, we do not spend the money that has been allocated to them, that militates directly against their interests. And it should be seen as something that is almost like a crime against our people. So we need to have that in mind, and it needs to be something that we fear to do. We fear to get involved in, because we are in our positions acting on behalf of our people. So consequence management, therefore, has to be upscaled. And we have, I admit, been talking about consequence management for the longest time, but we now need to put it into top gear, where we actually demonstrate that when you violate integrity provisions or principles, where you don't act in accordance with what you're expected to act, there will be consequence management. So we will be upscaling that and making sure that indeed those who are put in those positions are able to live up to the expectations that our people want. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable President. We now move on to the next set of questions, and that the question was asked by Honorable Pinar. And the question was whether, with reference to the recent visit to the United States, he now concedes that to attract more international investments, the government of national unity has to rework the broad-based Black economic empowerment policies to make them more effective and inclusive to stimulate economic growth and job creation. If not, what is the position in this regard? If so, what are the relevant details? Honorable President, your response.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. I would have thought that we would not be making any reference to our visit to the United States. But be that as it may, I'm rather pleased that the lights here have not been dimmed, because any act of dimming lights continues to worry me. But our visit to the United States did not focus on issues of Black economic empowerment. It focused on our resetting the relationship with the United States, and of ensuring that we continue open conversations with our major trading partners, and our commitment to Black economic empowerment, as expressed through various policy documents and statements, remains steadfast. At a broader level, through the statement of intent, which was signed to by various parties as part of the Government of National Unity, we are committed to translate the values of our Constitution into focus, particularly with regard to the achievement of social justice, of redress, and equity. That is what we all signed up for when we entered into the Government of National Unity. The Bill of Rights of our Constitution, under the Equality Clause, states very clearly that equality, which is about ensuring that we redress the past, the misdeeds of the past, includes the full and equal enjoyment of all rights and freedoms. To promote the achievement of equality, there are a number of measures that the Equality Clause calls on us to embark on. Some of those are legislative measures, which should be designed to protect or advance persons or categories of persons that were disadvantaged by unfair discrimination, and that these are measures that may be taken. Now, this anchors our commitment to legislation and policies that advance the economic transformation of our country and increase the participation of those who were previously disadvantaged from the mainstream of the economy. I can think of no other way in which all that can be done effectively and properly. So therefore, measures such as the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act remain a fundamental lever for transformation as part of our broader strategy to achieve more rapid as well as inclusive and sustainable economic growth in our country. As I've said before, we must dispense with the false notion that we must make a choice between transformation and growth. Black economic empowerment is not only compatible with investment and growth, but is essential to the achievement of broad-based growth as well as prosperity. It must be seen as a process through which we take measures, direct measures to bring those who were excluded from economic activity into the economic mainstream. And to think that it will happen on its own when in the past measures were taken, including laws were passed to ensure that only a minority benefits, we would be deceiving ourselves. We must therefore be very clear and direct and make sure that this objective of achieving equality does happen. Because if we don't do so, it will not happen. So therefore, we need to take demonstrable steps to make sure that there is clear movement, and clear movement that will be seen and appreciated and owned by our people. However, despite the progress that has been made across a range of measures, we can do better. As with any other policy, we must constantly assess whether we are achieving our goals and whether we are making the improvements that we wanted. And various departments in our government, including the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, are continuing to review the various measures that are in place to align these with priorities of our government and ensuring that we have industrialization, inclusive growth, and also ensuring that we facilitate access to finance for emerging Black-owned and managed enterprises. This should be seen as a national project. It should never be seen as a project that belongs to just a few amongst us. All of us must be involved in this, including those who benefited under the previous system. They must be seen to be actively involved in advancing the interest of all, because failing to do so could lead to lack of growth in our economy. It could lead to reversals. So all hands, Black and white, must be on deck to promote transformation in our country, to enable all South Africans to play a role in the economy of their country. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable President. The first follow-up question will come from the Honorable Pienaar.
Thank you, Chairperson. Achtbare President, welkom in die huis.
Baie dankie.
Mr. President, Starlink, as part of South Africa's International Investment Initiative, has the potential to deliver internet access overnight to even the most rural communities. Will the President commit to supporting investments of this nature without requiring businesses to hand over 30% of their companies? Dankie, President. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Pinar. Honorable President, your response, please.
Honorable Pinar, you will be glad to know that as a country and a government that is committed to foster economic growth and transformation, we've come up with innovative ways in which we can involve all into the growth of our economy, whether they be offshore-based or the local-based. And for those offshore-based ones who have, for a variety of reasons, their own considerations about their equity, we have come up with a solution, an innovative solution, which I believe is very unique in the world. We came up with the equity equivalent measure that has enabled a number of offshore-based companies who have had great challenges and difficulties because of the ownership structures of their own businesses, which are often global. We've come up with the equity equivalent solution. And many have embarked on this, and they continue to embark on a whole number of initiatives that are equity equivalent, and they get involved in the transformation process of our country. And let me immediately say, we are not the only country in the world that requires that there should be local ownership. But we may well be the only outlier which requires equity equivalent, where we say, if you're not able to have joint ownership, we want equity equivalence. That will help to address the injustices of the past. And we gladly have found that a number of companies, in fact, all major companies that are invested in our country, have welcomed this and have embraced it and are actively participating in the process of transforming our country from an economic point of view, and have even committed to invest more money based on the structure of ownership or equity participation that we have created. So we are not averse to coming up with good solutions, so long as there is commitment to transformation. That to us is not negotiable, and we will not turn back from that. We say we need to transform this economy because our economy was only structured for participation by a minority, a white minority at that. They hogged everything. They even passed laws to prevent everyone from participating, including for jobs, menial jobs that could be performed by anyone. They said, no. We only want white people to perform these jobs, and anyone who is not white is not allowed to get those jobs. So we are turning the table around. We are saying we want to benefit all South Africans, not just a few South Africans. So therefore, the process of transformation, as I said earlier, needs to be embraced by all because it is to our collective benefit. I still get surprised when people oppose transformation because when they oppose it, they want it only for a few. And yet we say we want it for all, as set out in our Constitution. So thank you very much, Honorable Pinar.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable Dlamini.
Good afternoon, Deputy President, Deputy Chairperson, Madume, Mo Presidente, ho tswa province ya Freistata. Re re pula ha ene ya Ntate Ramaphosa. Honorable Chair, BBEE is a vital element of the country's transformation agenda, which aims to tackle long-standing historical inequalities by creating opportunities for Black South Africans across various sectors of the economy, including ownership, management, employment, and enterprise development. Therefore, no amount of resistance, hot battles will drag us back. The transformation agenda is an action of today. And we are happy, President, that your cabinet, led by your good self and the Deputy President, have put measures in place to ensure that we accelerate the transformation agenda. The young people of this country, the previously disadvantaged people of this country, are eagerly awaiting the positive implementation that is accelerated, that will seek to change their lives. The young people are sitting here, are waiting eagerly. The young people are sitting outside, waiting eagerly. We cannot wait that the young people of this country will revolt against us when we are not implementing this. So we are unapologetic, we are direct, we are resolute. Therefore, President, imisebenzi iyabonakala, uyitshwere President. Aye, uskaba hlola ushaba mrao. Shapaper, we are behind you.
Thank you very much, Honourable
Yeah,
Member. Your time has expired. No, Honourable President.
No question.
Honourable President, I didn't hear a question there, but if you want to respond, you may.
Right, Honorable Lamini says I responded to her question, which is true, because she's largely reinforcing this message about this broad, beautiful process of transformation. And I'd like to see this process as being a beautiful one, as being an effective one, as being a process that we must all get involved in, because it seeks to create and inject growth in our economy when all hands are on deck. In the past, only a few were allowed to play a role in the economy of a country. It is like in your own family, you have, say, 5 children, you allow only 2 children to go to school and the others not to go to school. That I constitute as a crime against those children. So a big crime was committed against the people of South Africa on many fronts, on education, on ownership of assets, on participation in the economy. And we are now given the opportunity to all participate in correcting the effects of this crime that was committed against the people of South Africa. It was the United Nations that described what happened here as a crime against humanity. So we are now all given a chance to correct the injustices of our past as set out in our Constitution. So I call on all of us to join hands and embark on this beautiful process of transformation. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honourable President. The next follow-up question comes from the Honourable Kennedy.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable President. Honorable President, given that the main objective of broad-based Black economic empowerment is to advance economic transformation and enhance the economic participation of Black people in South African economy, it is concerning to note how the ruling elite have used this policy as a way to legally funneling billions of rands each year into politically connected elites. The EFF was therefore also not surprised when just last month, Mr. President, you were set to offer regulatory assurance to Elon Musk's Starlink by bypassing necessary black economic
Is a position in this regard? If so, what are the relevant details? Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. The 2024 Auditor General's Local Government Audit Report in many ways highlights the persistent deterioration of the financial management, as well as governance and service delivery performance of many of our municipalities across the country. Now, the report also paints a very stark picture of widespread financial mismanagement, also non-compliance, as well as non-compliance with regulations and processes, as well as irregular expenditure. But it also deals with the lack of, as I said earlier, lack of consequence management and weak internal control systems in a number of our municipalities. Now, this is concerning. The national government is therefore taking steps to address the challenges that many of our municipalities are facing. While some of these challenges are quite specific to each municipality, many of these challenges have their roots in systemic problems and must be addressed through what I would call structural reforms that need to be embarked upon. Now, the Department of Cooperative Governance has embarked on a process to update the white paper on local government to ensure that local government system is a system that is effective as well as being fit for purpose, the purpose of delivering good services to our people. The minister is engaging in a series of consultations with political parties, with representatives of provincial as well as local government, and has included in his consultation process various social partners. And in this regard, just this week, he held a dialogue to contribute to the review of the white paper. The issue of optimizing the number of municipalities, as well as the appropriateness of the two-tier system of local government, must be considered as part of this process. And this is a process or an issue that is currently under discussion. While there are strong arguments for having fewer municipalities, there are also strong reasons to ensure that local government remains local and accountable to the people that it serves. So there are those two sides to the coin, and we therefore must find a midpoint which will enable us to have more effective municipalities. And this may be in the way that we structure municipalities or restructure municipalities going forward, or we reform them. And these decisions must therefore be based on a very careful assessment of the evidence, and we must aim to ensure that municipalities themselves are financially sustainable, to remove any duplication of functions, and to improve service delivery in the end, particularly in areas where municipalities lack a sufficient revenue base. As you may well know, as we acceded to the demand and the wish and the desire to have local government closer to where our people live, one of the challenges that we then face is the revenue base, that many municipalities don't have a revenue base, much as they are located as entities of government amongst our people. They don't have the wherewithal to raise revenue. They don't have the wherewithal to ensure that the services that are delivered are actually funded by those who enjoy those services. It must also be noted that the determination or the redetermination of municipal borders or boundaries is done by the Municipal Demarcation Board, which, as you know, is an independent constitutional structure. It was made an independent structure to ensure that there is no political interference in the delineation of borders. There is therefore no need for the appointment of a commission of inquiry, in my view, to attend to these matters that have been raised by the Auditor General. We need to find a way, and there is a way that has been found through the processes that the minister is going through, where we get all actors in the local government space to participate in finding solutions. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The follow-up question will come from the Honorable Makasini.
Thank you, Chair, Deputy Chair. Mongameli, ndiyayiva i-answer yakho ndiyonelisa but ndifuna ukuqonda njengoba sisamele i-consultation ye-revision ye-white paper, yintoni immediately esiyenzayo ukumeka sure ukuba akumoshakeli, ngoba kudala i-municipalities fana nezase-Free State sikule program. As much as we appreciate i-process ka-minister we-COP, yintoni esiyenzayo kwangoku immediately? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Makasini. Honorable President.
Honorable Deputy Chair, Honorable Makasini, kuningi esikwenzayo. Kuningi ngoba xa sijonga process professionalization of our public service, it also touches on making our municipalities more effective. As we look at the interventions that we make in terms of the law, as well as other interventions that we make in terms of setting up these presidential working groups, the one that we did in eThekwini and Johannesburg, are processes that we do believe will pay a lot of dividends or will make a great deal of progress. We do agree with you that much more needs to be done. Municipalities in a number of provinces in our country are not functioning well. That we must admit. We therefore are shining a light on how a number of these municipalities need to function. There are so many municipalities that we have, and through provincial governments, through making direct interventions, we are hoping that real progress will be made this time around. And Minister is focusing on some of the worst performing municipalities. He's made it a clear attention point of his programs to focus on some of those, and he scours throughout the country, giving assistance to those municipalities and giving as much support that he can. And some of the problems that they have are in relation to lack of capacity, where there is just no capacity in some of the municipalities to deal with infrastructure projects, financial management. Treasury gets involved in helping to train those who need it, including the Auditor General herself, her office rather. And COCTA gets involved in giving training, as well as a number of other agencies. The Municipal Infrastructure Association or agency also gets involved. So we seek to improve the capacity, and through that we are able to increase focus on municipalities and in terms of what needs to be done. And we want, people to feel that government is doing something, and if nothing else, is breathing down their necks, so that they can have a sense that we are aware of some of their weaknesses and some of, if you like, their misdemeanors, in order to correct them and in order to make sure that everything works well. So those are some of the things that we are doing. Thank you, Honorable Makasini.
Thank you, Honorable President. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable Kaunda.
Asibonge Sekela Sihlalo. Mongameli, sihlangana nawe okokuqala kulendlu emva kohambo lakho lase-US. Sifisa ukushayela ihlombe futhi sibonga ubuhlakani nobuchule owabukhombisa ubuholo obuqotho bokuhola lelizwe usimele ngaphandle, futhi siyayibona imvula yakhe iyana manje eAmerica. President, I would like to express my appreciation for the various measures you have championed and to address the challenges facing municipalities in our country. We have seen how initiatives like district development model continue to function as vital interventions to improve service delivery and economic development by fostering better coordination between national, provincial, and local sphere of government. As we speak in eThekwini through the budget infrastructure grant, eThekwini through DDM received the grant ka 230 million. That grant was aimed to rehabilitate the road in Avoca for the brickworks investment, which amounts to 2 billion rands. So that means DDM is working, Honorable President. But we are also recognizing the issue when it comes to the presidential working group. My question, Mr. President, is whether the government has identified any structural reforms to enhance municipal performance which have been hindered by governance weaknesses and inadequate revenue generation? And are there plans to expand the interventions that we have seen in municipalities such as eThekwini, Johannesburg, to strengthen the capacity of our municipalities to deliver quality services to our people? Siyabonga Mongameli. Umenjalo nje.
Siyabonga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kaunda. Honorable President, your response.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Honorable Kaunda speaks like a real former mayor. He is one of those mayors who embraced the district development process very, very well. And he has seen over time what results it is yielding. And through the various intervention processes, like the presidential working groups that we have set up, it's a real extension and a very practical extension of the district development model, where we seek, as Honorable Member will have seen, Honorable Kaunda will have seen, how we seek to involve every key role player in the municipal space to participate in the improvement of our municipalities. And just to give you a direct answer, yes, we're seeking to expand this process. We have been experimenting it in eThekwini. It is now gaining real traction in eThekwini, as you have clearly articulated. And we look forward to it gaining traction in Johannesburg, which also faces similar, if not more, challenges, because it is a large metropolitan city. And we will be responding to the other municipalities that have been saying we would like the similar process to be brought to us. And in the end, that process is activating the district development model. The district development model is really anchored around how people work together, how various stakeholders in an area, municipality or otherwise, are able to join hands and work together to the common good of their municipality. It was a real joy to see this being played out in eThekwini when we held a meeting which involved a number of role players, officials of the municipalities, elected representatives of the municipality, business representatives, trade unions, and members of the community who joined together to listen to those who control and own money, saying now that the city is just being rebuilt and reformed, we are now willing to invest billions and billions of rands, because they could see and sense the fact that there is a working together, there's great collaboration that is evolving. And when people work together, much is achieved. It is when they don't work together that very little is achieved. So the district development model that we've set up is about getting people to work together, to put shoulder to wheel in a collective way. And this is what we seek to do with all our municipalities. Because we have so many municipalities, some 257, it will take time, but we are focusing on the key ones that if we pay attention to, will begin to move the needle and to be a great example to others to follow in their wake. And that's precisely what we are focusing on. So thank you, former mayor of Etegwini. Your metro is now moving ahead, and with your great support and participation in governmental structures, siyaqhuba. Siqhuba kahle.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. I know you did make that commitment in your State of the Nation address also with regard to Itukwini, and I'm glad, since I come from there also, that I can see progress. Thank you very much. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable Gottseld.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I'm no former mayor, but I can see a pothole a mile away. You mentioned Johannesburg, Mr. President, and while the EFF raises concerns about municipal dysfunction, it is in fact them who prop up collapsing councils like the city of Joburg, where you yourself have pointed out its serious decline and that service delivery is failing spectacularly. It is also, in fact, them who play the biggest destabilizing role in metros like Ekurhuleni. In forming a government last year, Mr. President, you deliberately chose to exclude parties that enable collapse, and instead you partnered with an anchor tenant that has a proven record of clean audits, stable service delivery, and pro-poor, pro-growth policies. Mr. President, will you confirm to this House today your commitment to Government Priority 3, which was building a capable, ethical, and developmental state, by working with credible partners in order to build more effective municipalities and not to break them? And also that this does not include wasting money on merging dysfunctional municipalities or appointing unnecessary commissions of inquiry.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gottseld. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Yes, I can confirm that what we seek to achieve is functioning municipalities, and it's ensuring that we have a capable state that functions at all levels, and more particularly at local government level where our people live, because they don't live at the union buildings, they don't live here in this house, in the House of the National Council of Provinces. They live in the streets and the pathways of their townships and villages respectively. And that is where it matters most. And it matters most as we have to strengthen the capability of our government at all levels. And in doing so, yes, I do agree that we do not need to set up a commission of inquiry. We just need to get the work done. We also need to ensure that there is collaboration amongst those who are willing to build, those who are willing to work together. That is where the real answers lie. And if we can get those who are positive, those who are committed to making sure that South Africa succeeds and wins, we will be able to make headway. And if we move away from negativity, from doing all the things that pull us back, we won't move ahead. We therefore need to be positive. We therefore need to be progress-oriented to enable us to move ahead. So I will say yes to some of the points that you have made, because we are committed to reforming our local government and to strengthen the capacity of the state. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next follow-up question will come from the Honorable Farmer.
He's in the house.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Thank you, Honorable President. Honorable President, last time you were here, you gave an executive undertaking that when you go overseas, you'll take me with you. But let me get to the real question. As your administration considered the impact that municipal mergers may have on already neglected rural communities, where consolidating municipalities could mean clinics, service officers, and even ward councillors are moved further away from the people who need them most. Thank you, President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Farmer. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. When I went overseas, I'm sorry I didn't take you along. We traveled commercial, and I thought you might have appreciated traveling in the Inkwazi. It was not available. Honorable Deputy Chair, Honorable Farmer, yes, you're absolutely right. I did address this issue of the restructuring of our municipalities, particularly in relation to do we reduce the number or do we leave municipalities as they are? There are arguments for reducing the number. And as you correctly say, the concerns are if you reduce the number, then our people will be less well represented because the municipalities will then be far away from where our people live. And at the same time, in order to those who argue for reduction of municipalities, they argue that if you reduce the number, you'll then be able to have advantages of scale. You'll then be able to get poorer municipalities, if one can put it that way, benefiting from an amalgamation with those that are much more able or richer municipalities. So that is the debate and the arguments that are now current in the discussion or consultation process. I do believe that we need to make a proper assessment and look at all aspects of this argument and finally come up with an answer that will be beneficial to all our people. As I said earlier, when we set up our municipalities, many of them, we argued that we want the government to be closer to where our people are. And we now need to ask ourselves, has that served that purpose that we wanted? And have we been able to use all capabilities and all resources effectively? And have we been able to improve the livelihoods of our people by structuring our municipalities as we did? And that is why the discussion that Minister Tlhabisa is leading in the reform of our municipalities landscape is very important and very timely. So I would encourage all of us to participate in that. And it is also about less overseas travel that people like yourself will be able to participate. So just postpone this invitation that I issued to you. We'll see about it next time. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable President. We now move on to the next set of questions, and that is question number 4 that was asked by the Honorable Ngumalo. And the question was whether the government is making any progress in forging a comprehensive social compact that would join all social partners in a common program to rebuild South African economy and enable higher growth. If not, why not? If so, what are the relevant details? And 2, whether any provinces are benefiting from the social compacts and master plans that are aimed at attracting investment to sectors such as automotives, clothing and textile, poultry, sugar, agriculture, and global business services? If not, what challenges are experienced in this regard? If so, what are the details? Honorable President, your response.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Following the 2024 national and provincial elections, the Government of National Unity adopted the Medium-Term Development Plan to guide the work of the 7th administration. The success of the MTDP will in the end require cooperation and collaboration with all the key stakeholders outside and beyond government, in particular business, labor, and civil society. Now, achieving growth and job creation depends on the whole of society approach that amplifies the state's own capacity to drive development. Currently, social compacting has been undertaken at various sectoral levels through the various master plans that we have crafted, and in many cases, these sectoral compacts have yielded what I would call positive outcomes, which include job retention, job creation, investment commitments, as well as localization efforts and revitalization of sectoral value chains. For example, the Automotive Master Plan has helped to maintain South Africa's position as a very competitive vehicle manufacturing hub, second to none on our continent, and which also competes extremely well with other locales around the world. We also had the Sugar Master Plan, which has also assisted both farmers and processing industries that were in distress. The provinces in which these industries are located have benefited greatly from the outcomes of these master plans. For example, the clothing, textile, and footwear and leather industries are concentrated in the Western Cape, in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. And the main sugarcane growing areas, which are KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga, have also benefited. And the main vehicle manufacturers are located in Gauteng, Eastern Cape, as well as KwaZulu-Natal. Now, the investments that have been generated in these industries through the various master plans are benefiting the economies of those provinces. So in the end, because investments are really located, as I said, not in the union buildings or at Danehays, they are located in the areas of our provinces and of our local towns. Now, while there's been meaningful progress in building social compacts at this level, work towards a national compact has now commenced also through the launch of the National Dialogue, because the dialogue will seek to forge a new social compact to agree on the actions that are required by all members of society to bridge policy differences that may exist among social partners, to strengthen implementation, and to come up with mechanisms that will rebuild trust to overcome our country's challenges and achieve the objective of the National Development Plan. Now, this dialogue builds on a very rich history of social compacting in our country. Indeed, the drafting and adoption of our Constitution in 1996 was the quintessential social compact that we all forged together as South Africans. It represented what I would call a comprehensive national compact. It is a compact that continues to bind our nation together in a very cohesive manner. The National Dialogue will no doubt reconfirm our commitment to the compact we achieved when we drafted our Constitution. In order for our country to progress, we need a shared vision of what kind of a society we want to build, and what it means to be South African, what it means for us to be patriotic South Africans, committed and loyal to our national flag, our constitution, and our nationhood, a diverse nationhood which is very unique, possibly equal to none other in the world, forged from a very horrible history of oppression and racialism and apartheid. We have emerged as a compacted nation, and that is what we need to celebrate even as we go to a national dialogue, which will produce, on the basis of a strong and enduring social compact culture, to unite all South Africans behind one single goal, a goal that is guided by our constitution, our national flag, and our nationhood as South Africans. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The first follow-up question will come from the Honorable Ngomalo.
Inkomo umtshamaxitulu wa yindlu ya NCOP ndi pfumelele ndi xixima vukona bya president wa Afrika-Dzonga nkulukumba Ramaphosa la ndlwini. Mtshamaxitulu, Mr. President, we have witnessed the benefit of social compact in promoting investment and development master plan in various sectors of the economy, such as the automotives, clothing and textile, poultry, sugar, agriculture, and global business services. Likewise, we are pleased that social partners, especially businesses, have been offering support to implement the Energy Action Plan in the spirit of social compacting. However, the persistent high level of poverty and unemployment, particularly among our young people, demand urgent, decisive collective action from both the government and the business sector, achievable through social compact. My question, Mr. President, is that what measures is to ensure that the eminent national dialogue focuses on developing a people-led, a social-wide process to devise mechanism and mobilize all sectors of our society to address the challenge of young or youth unemployment and persistent poverty. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ngomalo. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair and Honorable Ngomalo. The concept of a national dialogue was well conceived and articulated and embraced by a number of people in our country. And I would say that those who are developing doubts about the efficacy or ability of the national dialogue to yield any results need to look at how we have forged social compacts in the past and how they have moved us forward in the way of progress. We are currently experiencing huge problems. And some of the problems we are experiencing are no different from what other countries are experiencing, such as unemployment and inequality and poverty. And it is through this social compacting process where we will get all South Africans to meet and to discuss precisely what the solutions are. And through that type of discussion will evolve a clearer vision, a vision that will be owned by all South Africans, that will also help to guide what we do. It will also address the stark realities of our current situation, as well as the constraints that we face and the lack of growth in our economy. I do hope that it will also begin to deal with what we now need to do to inject more growth in our economy. And in this year's budget, we have allocated quite a lot of money in investing in infrastructure, which is, as I've often said, the flywheel of growing our economy. I'm looking forward to the dialogue, coming up with clever ideas, innovative proposals on what else we need to do. And we have often said that we need to increase investments. And we've embarked on structural reforms to ensure that we make our country an investable country, where those with money can come and invest here with confidence that, yes, they will make money, but at the same time, we will also benefit from the job creation initiatives that will ensue. So, as you correctly say, the national dialogue, what purpose will it serve? It will serve the purpose of bringing South Africans together. And of course, we're 62 million. Not all of us will be able to fit into a hall or a stadium, but it is through our formations, it is through the voices that we will raise that South Africans will be given an opportunity at various levels, at provincial level, at district level, at local level, participating in the discussions just like we did when we drafted our current constitution. We all participated in various activities and manifestations to come up finally with a constitution that we have. Millions of proposals and millions of presentations were made, and those were synthesized. It was quite a job to synthesize those to emerge with the type of constitution that we have. So I see us embarking on that type of project. And many people have become fixated on what it is going to cost. And a figure has been put out that it may cost X amount of money. And I would say that X amount of money that has been put out in the public, we are going to make sure that it is driven down. It is just an estimate. We're going to make sure that we spend as little as possible, but at the same time have as much consultation as possible, so that the process itself must be enriched, whilst at the same time we don't impoverish the people of South Africa through spending too much money on that whole process. So what has been put out as the budgeted amount is going to be looked at, and I have said to my colleagues that cost that's been put out must be driven down, and we must get to the bare bones and make sure that we have a very rich process of coming up, of giving South Africans an opportunity of coming up with a very good outcome of the dialogue. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable President. The next follow-up question comes from the Honorable Badenhorst.
Mr. President, nice to have you back in the House. And I agree with you, Mr. President. I don't believe those parties who say that the national dialogue is just going to be a 700 million rand ANC local government election campaign. I don't believe it. Mr. President, let's go a step back. It was you, in your State of the Nation address in 2002, who said that we need, as a country, a 100-day project to revive the economy at that time. A 100-day project. Mr. President, we're now in 2024. If that initiative of yours was so successful, why then has South Africa's investment to GDP not grown and declined rather? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Badenhorst. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you very much. The 100 days was pivoted on forging a social compact, if you recall. And you have a very good memory, Honorable Badenhorst.
I can quote you if you want me to.
It was pivoted on saying in 100 days we should have a social compact. And admittedly so, a number of people raised the issue of saying, why are we not moving towards a social compact? And there are many things that militated against that, which I have addressed in the past. And some of those were a clear focus on what needed to be done. And we found that clear focus a little later, which was to start off with the structural reforms. to embark on the structural reforms that we needed to embark upon to inject growth into our economy. And having found, I would say, that mojo, the mojo of embarking on structural reforms, which have infused a lot of confidence in a number of investors in our economy, who are now sitting up and saying, okay, they have improved their electricity generation challenge. They are improving their logistics challenge, which is through Transnet. They are allowing those with money to come into the country and invest through the visa reform process. And they are addressing a number of other challenges they face. And that in itself have been the elements that should go and that have been constructed to go towards forging this national compact. And yes, we missed the target on that 100 days. But what we have been able to do is to embark on meaningful interventions that are beginning to move the needle. And many people may not really be terribly alive to some of these, but certainly when it comes to solving the electricity generation problem, which affected everyone, many South Africans can and do see that we have made progress. We have emerged from a very challenging situation, which was overriding, where we had load shedding day in and day out. That has now been reduced. The trains that participate in our logistics to take our goods to the harbors and all that are beginning to move. We're moving our coal, our other minerals out of the mines and to locales where they should be exported, our fruit, our vegetables. Now, those have been part of the key elements that were meant to contribute to the evolution of a really great social compact in 100 days. Now, we continue to bolster our own ability to attract investment. And our trips to various parts of the world, various ministers, myself and the Deputy President, are aimed at attracting investors to our country. And the more we all begin to talk and sing from the same hymn book, where our speeches and our statements are not variants to what we need to achieve, the more we will be able to bring investments in. There was a season when we were at variance, where various political parties were decampaigning the country, where various business people were speaking badly about their own country. That, I believe, has now come to an end, where we are now facing in one direction. And the national dialogue will enable us to evolve a clear vision, to focus less on what troubles us, to focus more on our potential and our key priorities. And that is the direction that we should take. And that in itself will engender a lot of positive disposition towards our country by investors who have money, both locally as well as offshore. The government itself is showing the way forward. What are we doing? We are committing a lot of resources, financial resources, to improving the investment climate in our own country and channeling quite a lot of money into infrastructure. This is the very first time since our democracy that we've committed R1 trillion in a matter of 3 years to invest in our economy. And such a commitment will and must move the needle. And it definitely will. And all we need is to remain focused, all of us, and keep our eyes on improving the fortunes of our country. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable President. The next follow-up question comes from the Honorable Tessa.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Well, President, since 1994, you would agree that there were several social compacting exercises through NEDLAC and Presidential Job Summit and the COVID-19 economic recovery plans, which have failed to halt rising joblessness, ensure decent wages, create sustainable jobs and industrial employment. In the context of massive budget cuts to essential services, crippling fuel levies that make food and transport impossible to afford, and rising unemployment, on what basis do you make the claim that you are building a comprehensive social compact to rebuild the South African economy, when in reality there is no binding program uniting social partners, but instead what we have are elite deals between your government, big business and co-opted labor formations, while black townships, informal economies, rural provinces and working youth are still excluded from any meaningful participation in this economy. And you would know the Marxist analysis better than me in terms of the interest, the structural interest, the antagonism in structural interest, and the irreconcilable class struggle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kesa. Honorable President, your response.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. We are making huge efforts to address the challenges that are facing our people, be it in job creation. We have embarked on the reforms that are going to make our economy an investable economy. Our economy is 75% controlled by the private sector. That is the structure of our economy, which we cannot, even if we wanted to, run away from. And it is this private sector that must be attracted to invest money and create jobs. The 25% is what the state does. And the state is leading the way. It's showing confidence in its own economy by deploying billions of rands in various areas of investment. And it is through this that we will be able to tackle the challenges of unemployment. And it is also through this that we'll be able to tackle the challenge of poverty. This is clearly related to the resources that the economy yields and our ability to spend the money or those resources in a proper manner. Because as the economy yields resources, we're able to direct those to improving the lives of our people. Sometimes we can embark on wishful thinking and say we wish this and that, but what we focus on is the real reality that confronts us, the reality on the ground that affects the lives of our people. And if we focus on that, yes, through compacting, through various initiatives, which in the end should just, and as many people get tempted just to dismiss them, these initiatives are important in getting people to talk to one another, to find ways of collaboration, to find ways of doing things together, of being able to cooperate in a very positive way that is aimed at yielding great results. So much as we have all these challenges, the important thing is not to remain stuck and just focus on talking about our challenges. The important thing is to do something to resolve the problems. And if we ever get accused of doing nothing, then yes, what you are saying will gain credence. But we can say that something is being done on an ongoing basis to find solutions to the problems that our country confronts. And one of those is to get all of us together to meet and discuss the challenges that our country faces. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable Peter.
Thank you, Deputy Chair of the NCOP. Mangbingelele Mongameli omhle weRepublic of South Africa. While the vision of National Social Compact to rebuild our country is commendable, President, its impact in historical marginalized provinces like the Eastern Cape remains deeply underwhelming. Despite the South African Joint Public Health Enhancement Fund Compact promise when it started in 2013. For example, the province continued to suffer from some of the most severe health outcomes in the country. The doctor-to-patient ratio today, for example, sits at just 0.3 per 1,000 people, less than half the nation average. Rural hospitals such as Matwaleni Hospital in Elliotdale and St. Barnabas Hospitals in Libote remains critically understaffed. Many patients even travel over 50 kilometers from basic services. Can the President indicate what targeted measures new compact will be taken to adapt and scale the social compact to this province's unique needs, in health in particular? Lastly, what binding province-specific compact strategies will be used to tackle mismanagement, retain professionals, and restore dignity to forgotten communities? Nkosi Mongameli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Peter. Honorable President, that question seemed to hinge more towards the healthcare sector and not the economy, but you are welcome to respond. Thank you.
Yes, indeed, it's more towards addressing the health challenges, but one could extrapolate that question and say that it does have an impact on the economy because when you address the health of our nation, you are contributing to a better functioning economy. And that's what I believe the Honorable Peter is talking to. Yes, the Eastern Cape faces huge challenges in a number of ways. And I thought that the Honorable Member would also touch on the issue of the climate change damage that has been wreaked on the province, which has an economic impact as well through the floods that we've been experiencing. But when it comes to health, yes, we are aware of the challenges that the Eastern Cape faces. It's a very vast province. Many people don't ever realize how big the Eastern Cape is. It covers a huge area of our country as it spans from the east to the west and from the north to the south. So in terms of the outlay of public facilities such as hospitals and devoting resources to those facilities is a challenge. And it gets worse when it comes to the deployment of human capital, those who should be either doctors or nurses. And you talk about the patient-doctor ratio, which is out of sync with the rest of the country. That is the lived reality that we countenance. And it is through this that the national government is focusing on how we address not only the challenges of the Eastern Cape, which is largely a rural province, but also the challenges of many other provinces that also have a huge rural element to their architecture. And so what I can say is that many measures are being taken from a budget point of view and from a spending point of view, because we also need to focus on the proper financial management systems that all of us need to adhere to, and not only in the Eastern Cape, but throughout the country, that money that is budgeted and that is allocated to embark on social infrastructure, as well as ensuring that we've got the proper people who should do the work, is properly utilized. So all that is attended to, is being attended to, and will continue to be attended to as we move forward. But Honorable Peter raises very important issues and concerns that need to be addressed. And they will be addressed as we move on. What we can say is that the Eastern Cape government has really distinguished itself in terms of its ability to address a number of challenges. They are distinguishing themselves in proper governance, in ensuring that they promote the growth of the economy of the Eastern Cape, and they are focusing on a number of other areas. I mean, the automotive sector is growing by leaps and bounds. The renewable energy sector through either wind energy has seen a lot of investments flowing into the province. The ports are being rebuilt, and we're focusing on improving the functioning of our ports. And agriculture is also being focused on. And we need to do more on agriculture to make sure that we take out the best out of the capability and the potential of the Eastern Cape to be the breadbasket of the country, because it's fertile soil. It should be a leading livestock producer in the country for exports and for meeting our own internal consumption needs. So the Eastern Cape is pregnant with great possibilities, and we need to focus on generating much more growth to be able to address even the health challenges that you're talking about. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We now move on to question 5, which was asked by the Honorable Mokoena. And the question is, 1, whether you will provide an explanation regarding his administration's failure to deliver tangible results in youth unemployment. If not, why not? If so, what are the relevant details? And 2, whether the youth of South Africa will trust his leadership. If not, what is the position in this regard? If so, what are the relevant details? Honorable President, your response.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Youth unemployment is a critical challenge for our country, as it is also a very big and critical challenge for many other countries around the world. We're working to create opportunities for unemployed young people through various key interventions. First, over the past 5 years, we have expanded public and social employment programs at a massive scale through the Presidential Employment Stimulus. The Presidential Employment Stimulus, which people call PESI, has created 2.2 million publicly funded opportunities through a wide range of programs. And this is not Mickey Mouse. This is quite big and extensive. One of the flagship programs which we have implemented through the stimulus is the Basic Education Employment Initiative. This is the largest youth employment program in South Africa's history. Since 2020, it has supported the delivery of over 1 million jobs and livelihood opportunities in our country at over 23,000 schools. A few weeks ago, I announced that we are restarting this project, and we are going to have, I think, as I said, 600,000 young people who are going to be deployed in various schools on the same day. And that is precisely what we saw happening. Another example is the revitalized National Youth Service, which was launched by the National Youth Development Agency in 2020, which has created opportunities for young people in areas such as food, security, early childhood development, and many more other subsectors. Second, we are providing young work seekers with support and linking them to jobs. I had the opportunity and the privilege to see how, through this program, we are able to get young people, have them trained, and link them immediately to jobs that they can get to, and permanent jobs for that matter. In 2020, the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention was launched to create pathways for young people to enter the job market. The backbone of this intervention is the SA Youth Network, which has linked a growing number of young people to opportunities for learning and for earning. There are now over 4.7 million young people who are registered on the network, many of whom have been supported to access opportunities. And I had the privilege of meeting quite a number of these young people as one came across them and asked them, how did you get the job opportunity that you now have? And a number of them said, I registered on this platform and immediately I was able to get a job opportunity. I was interviewed and selected. So we have found that that platform, which now has 4.7 million young people, a platform that really works. We set it up hoping that, yes, it would create opportunities, and that's precisely what it has done. Through the Employment Tax Initiative or Incentive and the Youth Employment Service, we are encouraging employers to create opportunities for young people. We continue to call on the private sector to hire inclusively and to prioritize young people who need a first opportunity to start their employment journey. And young people had called on us to say that one of the key barriers for them getting job opportunities is the requirement for prior experience. And in government, we said we need to do away with that. And we thus responded to the call that was made by young people. Thirdly, we are investing in new and better ways to provide young people with the skills that they need to compete in a rapidly changing labor market. The Jobs Boost Outcomes Fund has pioneered an innovative outcomes-based financing mechanism to equip previously excluded young people to access and retain high-quality jobs. The pilot phase of the project, which ends in December 2025, is on track to exceed its target of the number of jobs that we had said will be created. In addition, over the past 5 years, more than 560,000 people have been trained through our various training projects, while this year alone, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, NSFAS, is supporting almost 800,000 students through its bursary program and spending almost 53 billion rand in supporting young people to move on in life. And of course, we want them to get their qualifications and get jobs. And the challenge that we now have is that we've helped them to qualify, and we have not really succeeded in matching those qualifications with real jobs. But it's also the function of how our economy continues to grow, and we are going to move ahead with the process of matching the training that our young people get with jobs that they should get. Finally, we are supporting young people and young entrepreneurs in improving access to the capital markets for youth-owned businesses. And through the years, the Small Development Department has done a lot of work in assisting and supporting over 236 youth-owned enterprises. Now, these efforts do make a difference and have made a difference in the lives of millions of young people across our country. And at the same time, we recognize that young people remain frustrated with the pace of change. And as we have increased access for them to get an education. We need to move faster to create the jobs that they now need. I mean, we've got a wonderful problem. And the wonderful problem is that young people want to get skills and they want to get educated. We now need to match that with our ability to create job opportunities for them. So ultimately, what we do really need is to grow our economy at a much faster rate if we are to make inroads into addressing the long-standing unemployment challenge. And that is why we are moving forward with the various reforms that we have embarked upon to make our economy more investable and to make sure that we do create jobs. So we are not standing still and we are not standing in one place. We are making a difference, but we need to do much more because the need is much bigger than what we are doing now. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. And now the follow-up question will come from Honorable Mokoena.
Thank you, Chair. President, the impact of your programs are quite slow and lack a bit of speed. As of the first quarter of 2025, we reached a staggering 62.5% youth unemployment rate in this country. And when you look at the 2024 turnout or voter turnout between the ages of 18 and 35, we had the lowest turnout ever in our democratic history. My question to you is, how can we measure you? What significant percentage can you give us that next year, this time, you would have a certain impact in terms of performance, in performance tracking, so that in 2026, when we reach local government elections, the youth have a little bit more credibility to your, have a little more trust to the government and the impact of your projects that you pursue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mokoena. Honorable President, your response.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. I mean, our target obviously is to address the needs of young people. And we are currently in a low growth economic trajectory. And we're not the only country that is growing at the low growth level. Of course, many other countries, even on our continent from a low base, are growing slightly faster than we are growing. And that is why one of our key priorities has been to grow our economy and to increase jobs. And I can promise you that this is a priority that we're not sitting idle on. We are working on making sure that we increase the level of growth in our economy. And we increase economic activity and we address the challenges that hold our economic growth back, because the level of growth in our economy is correlated to what holds our economy back. And those are the constraints that we are now addressing. And we continue asking ourselves, what is making those with money, those who can invest, them reluctant to commit, to invest more money? Why are we not able to grow the economy and increase the size of our market? That is what we now are addressing. When we faced our electricity challenges, we knew that the private sector cannot invest in an economy where there is no electricity. We also now know very clearly that they will not invest whilst our local government does not function, because they, like everyone else, will know that investments are done at the municipal level where their businesses are located. And if at the local level, the streets have potholes and they cannot move their produce, and there's no water provision and there's no proper sewage management, they will not invest because they will just walk away. And that is why we are focusing our attention also on the capability of the state. And this is the message that I would like all of us in the government sector to understand more fully. that in the end, it is increasing the capability of the state that will make our economy to grow. And we are addressing that. And for that purpose, that's why our third priority as the government of national unity is to increase the capacity of the state. And when we do so, we know automatically it will contribute to the growth of our GDP and it will reduce youth unemployment as well. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable Mananiso.
Thank you, Deputy Chair, and welcome, President. I think your appreciation of youth challenges, they actually indicate we do need a national dialogue so that we speak on exit opportunities for all those issues that you have raised. I was following your trail in terms of visit there at Tshwane, and young people were saying we appreciate this. However, we need sustainable jobs.
Yes.
And I want to say to you, President, any program that speaks about the DDM, if it doesn't include youth development, issues of persons with disability, elderly persons, LGBTQIA plus society, youth in conflict with the law, active youth in substance, and youth in businesses, and those above 35 years, you must reject it because it won't be fit for purpose for those that we are representing in this particular house. So I hope that as the champion of youth services in this country, the CIC, the real CIC, you will ensure that no one is left behind in terms of inclusion, in terms of as well economic opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mananiso. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. I'm tempted to say I should take her seat. She must come and answer that question here because she is so right. Honorable Mananiso is so right in what she's articulating. And it is true, as you say, you were watching when I visited Tshwane the other day. It is true that if we don't pay attention to all those measures, including how we bring people with disabilities into the job market, young people who are suffering from substance abuse, and how we focus also on the 35 and more, we will not be able to make a dent on the issue of unemployment. Precisely what you have said is what we want to continue focusing on. And obviously, we want to open up opportunities for young people to have a sense that, yes, we're making progress. Because as I listened to them the other day, I must say, they did relate the fact that many of them not finding jobs now suffer from mental health issues because they sit at home, they become qualified, but they don't get jobs. And that is why we now are embarking on skills improvement or acquisition and matching that with job opportunities. And we want to open more and more job opportunities for young people. And some of those are getting into, like, if you like, community-related job functions, where they assist community members with the challenges that our communities are facing. And I found that quite impressive, that young people are also focusing on the challenges, not only of themselves, but also community-related challenges. So all what you have said, Honorable Member, are issues that we need to focus more attention on. And we are embarking on programs that are going to enable us to do precisely that. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We go to the next follow-up question, and that's from the Honorable Billy.
Thank you, Chairperson. With your permission, Chairperson, I want to grab this opportunity
to further extend our deepest condolences to the family of Honorable Ngobo, who is one of our permanent delegates from the KZN delegation, Mr. President. Mr. President, going to the question, South Africans, particularly the youth, have shown in the last elections through the coalitions that we have that they want coalition government. And this is evident in the outcomes of the past elections, Mr. President, where not a single political party, including your party, the ANC, including my party, the DA, that had won an outright majority. Now, in light of this, Mr. President, and considering your responses and the progress that has been made, but also considering the staggering youth unemployment rate in our country, can you at least concede, Mr. President, that as a country, we have for some time made some not so much helpful policy decisions like cadre deployment, like strict labor laws, which may have contributed to the more than 46% youth unemployment in terms of Stats SA in the first quarter of 2025, youth unemployment? And will you at least commit, Mr. President, noting that there's no outright majority, to incorporating economic policies of other political parties in this coalition, in the government of national unity, and policies such as the DA's economic policy, which seeks to unleash enterprise, grow the economy, and create jobs? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Billy. Honorable President, your response, please.
Honorable Deputy Chair and Honorable Billy, I'm prepared to concede anything that is evidence-based. And if there is evidence on all the issues that you have said, and it is put for me and is driven by proper science and proper evidence, I make concessions because I tend to be more scientifically driven in my analysis of things. So you want me to stand here and concede to some of the things that are driven by your political party positions. So if that is what you want to do, I'm afraid I will not. However, I will say we will continue doing everything that will lead to the progress and also pursuing policies. And we will not be the first to say the policies that we've pursued have always been correct. No government in the world can say so. And we will always say we need to test the policies and the positions that we uphold, determined on the material conditions that exist and that confront our people. And through that, we're able to craft policies that respond to those material conditions and the state that our people are going through. So the concession I will make is that youth unemployment is a key focus area for us. We want more and more young people to have jobs. It is a big challenge for us, whether we're in a government of national unity or not, but properly said now, we are in a government of national unity. So it is our collective responsibility to evolve a government of national unity economic policy, not an ANC policy, nor a DA policy, but the government of national unity that binds all of us together. That is what should drive us forward. And I do hope, Honorable Billy, that you will concede to that yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We now go to the last follow-up question on that, and that is from the Honorable Gericka, who is on the virtual platform. Honorable Gericka. All right, the table was not aware of that, but Honorable Harris, are you available to take the question?
Yes, thank you very much, Deputy Chair. As a youth, I stand here. President, it is concerning to know that how the GNU continues to display its inability to respond to the many challenges faced by the youth in the country, and how you continue to do absolutely nothing to create and promote initiatives of young people in their fight against unemployment. The EFF is not shocked by the high unemployment rate in the first quarter, 62.4% of 2025. And we have long said that unemployment in South Africa is just a number problem, but is the consequences of a directionless policy, directionless ruling party, outdated and misguided macroeconomic policy, and the incompetence of National Treasury. There are no jobs in the country because the economy is still built to exclude Black people, and there are no jobs in the country because the economy is not structured to create them for the poor, but instead structured to benefit the few. In the face of this grim reality, what initiatives have you taken since coming into office at nationalizing strategic sectors of the economy, as this is the only way that will build industries in all parts of South Africa, build infrastructure and create employment for the youth? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Harris. Honorable President, your response.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Just as an aside, I had never seen the scarf looking so beautiful against red. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Yes, we have not embarked on a nationalization program, as I think the Honorable Member would have wished us to do so. What we have sought to do is to strengthen the policy processes that will enable our economy to grow. And this, we believe, is a tried and tested method of enhancing growth in our economy. And the reforms that we are going through now are aimed at achieving precisely that. And we are beginning to see a progress. We are also seeing a great deal of progress in increasing the level of participation of previously excluded Black people in the role that they should have played long ago in the economy of their own country. We're opening up more and more doors to enable Black people to participate in the economy. And we do believe that is where we are also making a great deal of progress. And of course, the Honorable Harris would have wanted us to smash everything and get everything nationalized. But I must say that that is not the path that we have chosen to take. We've chosen to take a different path, which is, in our view, taking us along a well-defined and steady progress of improving the lot of our people. And in doing so, we are embarking on very targeted policy initiatives that will lead us in that direction. And we've already identified a number of those, as I articulated in my responses to various questions that have been put here, ranging from how we foster inclusive interventions to get those who were previously excluded from economic participation to participate, how we are responding to the issue of youth unemployment, and how we are seeking to find ways to enhance the growth of our economy, and how we seek to find a way of getting everyone to get involved in a dialogue that will come up with innovative solutions that will lead to further growth in our economy. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We now move on to the last set of questions, and that is question number 6 that was asked by the Honorable Mokwele. And the question is, 1, whether any engagements have been conducted with members of the Government of National Unity regarding the emergence of an anti-transformation agenda in terms of the country's approach in A, addressing historical inequalities, and B, redressing the legacy of the prolonged social, economic, and political exclusion in the country? If not, why not? If so, what are the relevant details? And 2, how will the government safeguard the country from the anti-transformation agenda in the face of the allegedly growing attacks by some members of the GNU? Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. What we have sought to do as the Government of National Unity is to sign up to a common program that is outlined in the medium-term development plan. It incorporates those actions that have been agreed to by the parties to the Government of National Unity based on the statement of intent that we all agreed to, while the 10 parties do tend to differ on a number of issues, including economic issues, and continue to articulate their views and positions. Their common program does indeed provide a platform for meaningful transformation. The medium-term development plan has identified 3 strategic priorities: driving inclusive growth and job creation, reducing poverty and the high cost of living, and building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Those are the priorities that, in our view, are transformational. The plan places specific emphasis on inclusive growth as follows. Inclusive growth entails leaving no one behind. Key objectives include improved general living standards, improved incomes and material conditions, especially for the most marginalized and vulnerable in our country. It also requires a significant change in the unequal pattern of ownership of the economic assets of our country and access for all to economic opportunities. To achieve this, accelerated interventions for redress and economic empowerment and the whole issue of spatial transformation needs to be embarked upon in favor of the marginalized groups in our society. So in the end, deliberate actions and efforts need to be taken to increase the economic participation of women, of youth, and persons with disabilities. And with this, we must remember as the groups that were marginalized even during apartheid. Even during apartheid, women, both black and white, were marginalized. And this is something that we need to be alive to. the women of our country, white women, did not play the important role that the new dispensation has opened up for all women in our country. People with disabilities were never seen in the public space because they were relegated to the back, and young people were also marginalized. So what has happened now with the new dispensation is to open up opportunities for all and to ensure that there's economic inclusion through employment and many other pathways, so as to enable that all those who are marginalized have sustainable livelihoods. These measures, to which the Government of National Unity has committed itself, are essential in addressing historical inequalities and redressing the legacy of prolonged social, economic, and political exclusion in our country. I mean, we also, the point that I was raising, we also need to realize what the impact of apartheid was also on white South Africans. And of course, we have to focus on the deliberate and direct exclusion of Black South Africans. But sections of white South Africans were also debilitated by the harsh apartheid racial laws and deliberate exclusive laws. And I've cited women, people with disabilities, and young people. While the parties to the Government of National Unity may differ on some specific policy issues, and public debates are likely to continue, as they will, the fundamental commitment to the GNU's transformational agenda remains in place. It is the responsibility of all South Africans to safeguard and advance transformation, because only then can we build the prosperous, inclusive, and stable country that we all seek to live in. And this is the trajectory that I do believe, Honorable Deputy Chair, that we should all be committed to, because this leads to progress. And the GNU will be working to see progress in South Africa under this type of program that is transformational, that leads to the improvement of the livelihoods of our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable President. We go to the follow-up questions, and the first one is from the Honorable Mokwele.
Thanks very much, Deputy Chair, honorable members, Madimao Peta, to the President and Dimasare. Mr. President, Eriki Oleboge, Oaraba Uchushoyaga, Kabuchepi. And Mr. President, since the dawn of democracy, South Africa has been guided by the constitutional call to heal the divisions of the past and establish the society based on democratic value, social justice, and fundamental human rights. And for our nation to realize this vision of the Constitution, Mr. President, we need to mobilize all sectors of our society to work towards a comprehensive and coordinated approach that address both the structural and systematic issues that continue to perpetuate inequality and hinder progress. My question to you, Mr. President, is the government collaborating with all sectors of our society, including those who have joined, let me emphasize this, including those who have joined the ANC, GNU-led government and the business sectors, investors to join the national effort to tackle some of the challenges facing South Africa transformation agenda that are rooted in the legacy of apartheid. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Honorable Mokwena. Thank you, Honorable Mokwele. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. The answer is yes. the government is seeking to engage all South Africans, and not only those who are in the government of national unity, but we seek to go beyond and engage even those who are in various other sectors of South African society, be it in business, be it in labor, be it in social organizations and movements, religious or otherwise, to join the effort to address the challenges of our country. And to this end, it was also the government of national unity parties that also discussed the need for a national dialogue. They discussed that and agreed right from the beginning in their statement of intent that we should have a national dialogue. So the commitment was made then. And we have now set up an interministerial committee that is going to give more substance to the government's participation in that whole effort. And of course, we'll be working with other formations that represent our people, whether big or small, and all other stakeholders. And we will be working from the bottom upwards and making sure that the national dialogue does gain credence and acceptance amongst our people. We will be holding our first convention, which will be a slightly smaller gathering of some 250, 300 people. And thereafter, the work will then commence in great earnest to spread the work and the objectives of the national dialogue, through which we hope that various formations will be able to express their own proposals for the emergence of a clear vision of where our country should go. And we hope that there will be great participation amongst our people towards crafting this vision that will lead to us clearly implementing the National Development Plan and evolving our next National Development Plan that will take us to years to come. So, yes, our objective is through the Government of National Unity to give the leadership that is required to get everyone to participate. And we do this because the government is able to convene, to bring people together, and not diluting the fact that other formations are not able to, but the government is able to, largely because we have a government that was elected by the people of South Africa. So it gained its legitimacy from that. And the greater legitimacy is the fact, and this will make Honorable Billy very happy, it also gains its legitimacy from the fact that it represents a totality of 10 parties, including Honorable Billy's party, which will make him smile. And that Government of National Unity, obviously, it's ably led. It's ably led. So it is a led Government of National Unity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. We now move to the next follow-up question, and that will come from the Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Right at the back. And before you say anything, Honorable President, I think my scarf's also very pretty. Mr. President, while I appreciate your assurance that you've spoken to your GNU partners and remain committed to transformation, will you then confirm today that this transformation agenda will be non-racial, inclusive, and based on broad upliftment, not just political patronage or outdated race-based quotas, but meaningful transformation to build the capable state that we've heard of this whole afternoon? Furthermore, will you ensure that any empowerment model adopted under the GNU with that statement of intent reflects actual socio-economic need and measurable impact, and not just political alignment? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Boshoff. Honorable President. President, that was quite a loaded question, but I know you will answer that. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. And I'd like to say to Honorable Boshoff, yes, I kind of like your scarf as well. It looks very warm, particularly in cold Cape Town. Honorable Deputy Chair, I'd like to say to Honorable Boshoff that, you know, Honorable Boshoff, we have a template of what we need to do. Having learned from what should never be done. And the apartheid system taught us what we should never do. The apartheid system was exclusive, it was racist, it was oppressive, it was brutal, it was unfair and unkind, and it was declared a crime against humanity. Now, what I can say to you, we are not about to commit a crime against any South African. That I can assure you. So the GNU and the government that I lead is never ever going to exclude any South African on the basis of race, on the basis of where they come from. That's also an important consideration because apartheid also excluded people because of where they came from, not only what they look like. And I guess sometimes they also looked at the looks of people and said, this one is ugly, we don't want them. So in our new dispensation, everybody is beautiful. Everybody is likable. Everybody must be empowered. So therefore, the empowerment process is overarching, and it is precisely what we are going to do. And we are not going to lay any form of emphasis on politics or what you stand for. It is going to be based on fairness, and it is going to be based on the values and the principles of our Constitution. So if nothing else, apartheid taught us what we should never do, and we will not do it, not under the government that I lead. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. The next question comes from the Honorable Kennedy.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Again, Honorable President, it is a fact that the majority of Black South Africans are still sidelined from playing an active role in the economy. And it is a fact that white households across all provinces have the highest average annual income compared to Black households, and that almost 40% of Black South Africans are unemployed, while whites account for just above 8%. And as already alluded, Mr. President, statistics have throughout the years shown the damage done by years of apartheid laws that relegated Black people to a pool of poverty still persist. Honorable President, what assurance can you give today that transformation agenda of South Africa will not be compromised upon negotiation? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kennedy. Honorable President, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. The response is fairly simple and straightforward. The assurance we have to give as the two members, including Kennedy and her colleague, are shaking hands with one another and and the other applauding the other for asking the question. It's a fairly straightforward answer to that question. The Constitution of the Republic of South Africa is our guide. That is the absolute guarantee and assurance that we will not deviate from the path of transformation. That is the assurance we have. And that gives us the guidance, that gives us the way forward, and that gives us the inspiration. So armed with that, we are able to move forward and give you the assurance that we are not going to deviate from the path of transformation. If we do so, we will then be reducing the sacrifices that our forebears, right from the colonial period, right through to the father of our nation, Nelson Mandela, led us in. We will be spitting on their graves, and we are not prepared to do that. So that is the assurance we can give you, the Constitution. Read it and study it carefully. You will see that it gives us that guarantee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. Just as you mentioned the graves of our former leaders, the heavens opened up and there was a loud thunderclap that you heard. So there was a response from above. Thank you very much. The next follow-up question is from the Honorable van den Berg.
Yes or no?
Again. Honorable President, thank you for the short and sweet answer to my previous question on international trade. It is indeed good to know that we are proactive regarding international trade. However, there is something essentially wrong with transformation, and we have to look at this proactively too. If a race-based form of transformation is used with race-based legislation, which does exist today, and government never gets it right due to wrong economic approaches and even factors beyond our control, my grandchildren and even their children, also children of Africa, will still suffer under a race-based transformation agenda, as there is no goalposts or expiry dates. Honorable President, if we want to learn from apartheid, as you said, why do we still divide economic role players by race when we can do so much more collectively rather than being divided? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable van den Berg. Honorable President, your response, please.
I'd like to invite Honorable van den Berg to take time, maybe this evening even, to go through his constitution and to go through the equality clause. Because the equality clause is quite instructive. It calls on us to take measures to address the imbalances of the past. And it's not possible to address those imbalances without looking at what happened in the past. And what happened in the past, unfortunately for you, was race-based. It identified it specifically identified South Africans by race, and even went further to be so crude as to say, Black people, colored, and Indians shall not be allowed to walk on this beach, to get this job, to open businesses in this area, and so forth and so forth. So that was race-based. You will never find that in any piece of our legislation. I promise you, you will not find it. What you will find is measures that talk about redressing the past. And in redressing the past, we've got to clearly identified what was done in the past to correct that. Now, as I said earlier, I want to invite all South Africans, all of us, to be collectively involved in seeking ways to redress the imbalance that happened in the past. And I tend to think that those who are resisting are those who still hanker, would still want what happened in the past to continue. Because if they don't want that to continue, what is it that keeps them away from embracing the correct way of doing things? And the correct way of doing things is to admit that wrong things were done in the past. We now need to embark on a future together to redress those horrible things that were done, to undo the crime that was committed against a people. And if people don't believe that a crime was committed against our people, then of course it is a lost cause. And I said the other day, what drives it? Is it greed? Is it envy? Is it jealousy? Because we should be a nation that wants to see everyone prospering. And we should never be a nation that wants to see one section being held back or one section progressing. And as it is now, the South Africa that we now have has seen the great prosperity, even more prosperity of those who benefited from the past than those who did not benefit. As I say now, white people have been benefiting a lot more than what Black people should have been benefiting from this economy. They have seen tremendous growth. And let me say, Black people have never been jealous and greedy enough to say, we are going to hold you back. They've been saying, let us all prosper. And those who've been prospering more are those who have been advantaged. And Honorable Van der Berg, we want all South Africans to prosper. And all I ask for is that there should never be a South African who wants to hold others back, like happened in the past. Please let us all move forward as a united nation to transformation, to mutual progress. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President. Honorable delegates, I would like to thank the Honorable President Honorable members. Honorable delegates, I'd like to thank the Honorable President not only for being in the House today, but for the manner in which the questions were responded to. And although they were very serious questions that deals with the government of the day, but the manner in which the President responded really gave dignity to the House. And I want to thank all of you, honorable members, for the manner in which you conducted yourselves in the way you asked questions and the way you accepted the responses. So thank you, Honorable President, for being with us. Yet again, we appreciate your presence